flow here. I'm going to try to get down to that little waterfall area. Sit over there somewhere. If I can get around my own tripod and... Oops. Let me check the angle. I just moved it accidentally. I think it's okay. I'm on some very unstable rocks here, so hopefully I don't cause everything to fall. I'm going to try to go over there. Should have brought one of my poles with me. Oh, this is really cool. It's kind of nice to get a closer angle too. It looks really nice over here, but I'll see. Probably just do the one angle. I think today is going to be more about the finishing the Bible readings and getting nice shots than doing a huge hike. So I keep seeing really cool stuff. It's definitely worth stopping to get these readings. I'm totally wondering. I probably will get a second angle of this because it's too cool. Or I might split this reading into 2 different parts or something like that. Maybe that would make more sense. See how many chapters it is and then cut it in half or something. Oh, this is perfect. Wow, what a great spot. It's like several different flowers around here, and got the cliff with a few drops coming down off of it, and moss and interesting rock textures, and the creek and the waterfall. I mean, it's, you can't really get much better than this. I bet if I continued hiking up this creek too, there'd be multiple opportunities, angles. This is awesome. Okay, yeah, so maybe I'll do 2 chapters sitting right here, and then I'll bring the camera over here. Gonna read Nehemiah 4-6 and Revelation 18. Oh, well, I'm thinking about it. Nehemiah chapter 4. Now when Sanballat heard that we were rebuilding the wall, he was furious and filled with indignation. He ridiculed the Jews before his associates and the army of Samaria, saying, "What are these feeble Jews doing? Can they restore the wall by themselves? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they complete it in a day? Can they bring these burnt stones back to life from these mounds? Can they bring these burnt stones back to life from the mounds of rubble?" Then Tobiah the Ammonite, who was beside him, said, "If even a fox were to climb up on what they are building, it would break down their wall of stones. Hear us, O God, for we are despised. Turn their scorn back upon their own heads, and let them be taken as plunder to a land of captivity. Do not cover up their iniquity, or let their sin be blotted out from their Do not cover up their iniquity, or let their sin be blotted out from your sight, for they have provoked the builders." So we rebuilt the wall until all of it was joined together up to half its height, for the people had a mind to work. When Sanballat and Tobiah, together with the Arabs, Ammonites, and Ashdodites, heard that the repair to the walls of Jerusalem was progressing, and that the gaps were being closed, they were furious, and all of them conspired to come and fight against Jerusalem and create a hindrance. So we prayed to our God and posted a guard against them day and night. Meanwhile, the people of Judah said, "The strength of the laborer fails, and there is so much rubble that we will never be able to rebuild the wall." And our enemies said, "Before they know or see a thing, we will come into their midst, kill them, and put an end to the work." At that time the Jews who lived nearby came and told us 10 times over, "Wherever you turn, they will attack us." So I stationed men behind the lowest sections of the wall, at the vulnerable areas. I stationed them by families with their swords, spears, and bows. After I had made an inspection, I stood up and said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, "Do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and fight for your brothers, your sons and your daughters, your wives and your homes." When our enemies heard that we were aware of their scheme and that God had frustrated it, each of us returned to his own work on the wall. And from that day on, half of my servants did the work, while the other half held spears, shields, bows, and armor. The officers stationed themselves behind all the people of Judah, who were rebuilding the wall. The laborers who carried materials worked with one hand and held a weapon in The laborers who carried materials worked with one hand and held a weapon with the other. And each of the builders worked with his sword strapped at his side. But the trumpeter stayed beside me. Then I said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, "The work is great and extensive, and we are spread out far from one another along the wall. Wherever you hear the sound of the horn, rally to us there. Our God will fight for us." So we continued the work, while half of the men held spears from the break of dawn until the stars came out. At that time I also said to the people, "Let every man and his servant spend the night inside Jerusalem, so they can stand guard by night and work by day." So neither I nor my brothers, nor my servants, nor the guards with me changed out of our clothes. Each carried his weapon, even to go for water. There's a good place to go for water right here. Oh man, this is so perfect. This rock I'm sitting on is totally flat, comfortable. Got a footstool, don't get my feet wet. Hopefully I don't get my feet wet, otherwise I'll be in trouble for the rest of the day, so I have to be really careful. I actually ordered a very simple pad for sitting on for hiking. It'll probably get here in a couple weeks, but it's very cheap and simple, but it might do the trick. All I really need is just something that gives me a little bit of padding so my legs don't go to sleep when I do this kind of stuff. Of course I get it like after I'm done with this entire project, but I don't know, it could still come in handy in the future. Nehemiah chapter 5. About that time there was a great outcry from the people and their wives against their fellow Jews. Some were saying, "We and our sons and daughters are numerous. We must get grain in order to eat and stay alive." Others were saying, "We are mortgaging our fields, our vineyards, and our homes to get grain during the famine." Still others were saying, "We have borrowed money to pay the king's tax on our fields and vineyards. We and our children are just like our countrymen and their children, yet we are subjecting our sons and daughters to slavery. Some of our daughters are already enslaved, but we are powerless to redeem them because our fields and vineyards belong to others." When I heard their outcry and these complaints, I became extremely angry. And after serious thought, I rebuked the nobles and officials, saying, "You are exacting usury from your own brothers." So I called a large assembly against them and said, "We have done our best to buy back our Jewish brothers who were sold to foreigners, but now you are selling your own brothers, that they may be sold back to us." But they remained silent, for they could find nothing to say. So I continued, "What you are doing is not right. Shouldn't you walk in the fear of our God to avoid the reproach of our foreign enemies? I, as well as my brothers and my servants, have been lending the people money and grain. Please, let us stop this usury. Please restore to them immediately their fields, vineyards, olive groves, and houses, along with the percentage of the money, grain, new wine, and oil that you have been assessing them." "We will restore it," they replied, "and we will require nothing more from them. We will do as you say." So I summoned the priests and required of the nobles and officials an oath that they would do what they had promised. I also shook out the folds of my robe and said, "May God likewise shake out of his house and possession every man who does not keep this promise. May such a man be shaken out and have nothing." The whole assembly said, "Amen," and they praised the Lord. And the people did as they had promised. Furthermore, from the day King Artaxerxes appointed me to be their governor in the land of Judah, from his 20th year until his 32nd year, 12 years total, neither I nor my brothers ate the food allotted to the governor. The governors before me had heavily burdened the people, taking from them bread and wine plus 40 shekels of silver. Their servants also oppressed the people, but I did not do this because of my fear of God. Instead, I devoted myself to the construction of the wall, and all my servants were gathered there for the work. We did not acquire any land. There were 150 Jews and officials at my table, besides the guests from the surrounding nations. Each day 1 ox, 6 choice sheep, and some fowl were prepared for me, and once every 10 days an abundance of all kinds of wine was provided. But I did not demand the food allotted to the governor, because the burden on the people was so heavy. Remember me favorably, O my God, for all that I have done for this people. Alright, so I'm going to go grab the camera and bring it closer because I think it would look cool to have a shot over here. It's weird, I haven't seen any people yet. Somebody could have crossed there's a creek crossing here on the trail. Somebody could have crossed while I was reading. But aside from that possibility, I haven't seen a single hiker on this trail all morning. It's just kind of surprising. I guess it's not that popular of a trail. It also is a Monday, so there's not as many people out as the weekends, but I'm still surprised. Okay, let me grab one of my hiking poles too. A little bit difficult to navigate this stuff. I'm gonna have to carry my tripod though, which will be even worse. Here's looking down the creek on that side, right as where that line of bushes is on the top right is where the crossing is. You just walk across on the rocks. Okay. Really pink flower over there I didn't notice before. I've been trying to get pictures of all the different flowers just for fun. Okay, maybe I'll put the tripod around here somewhere. I might actually sit on the left side so I can have the words on the right side. If I can get over there. Alright. Guess I'll try this. Hopefully I'm in the shot. I didn't actually check where it is. I'll check when I get back. Hopefully I don't have to reread anything. Nehemiah chapter 6. When Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem the Arab, and the rest of our enemies heard that I had rebuilt the wall and not a gap was left, though to that time I had not yet installed the doors and the gates, Sanballat and Geshem sent me this message: Come, let us meet together in one of the villages on the plain of Ono. But they were planning to harm me. So I sent messengers to them, saying, I am doing a great work and cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave? Why should the work stop while I leave it to go down to you? 4 times they sent me the same message, and each time I gave the same reply. The 5th time, Sanballat sent me this same message by his young servant, who had in his hand an unsealed letter that read, It is reported among the nations, and Geshem agrees, that you and the Jews are plotting to revolt, and this is why you are building the wall. According to these reports, you are to become their king. And you have even appointed prophets in Jerusalem to proclaim on your behalf, There is a king in Judah. Soon these rumors will reach the ears of the king. So come, let us confer together. Then I sent them this reply: There is nothing to these rumors you are spreading. You are inventing them in your own mind. For they were all trying to frighten us, saying, Their hands will be weakened in the work, and it will never be finished. But now, my God, strengthen my hands. Later I went to the house of Shemaiah son of Delaiah, the son of Mehetabel, who was confined to his house. He said, Let us meet at the house of God inside the temple. Let us shut the temple doors, because they are coming to kill you. By night they are coming to kill you. But I replied, Should a man like me run away? Should one like me go into the temple to save his own life? I will not go. I realized that God had not sent him, but that he had uttered this prophecy against me, because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. He had been hired to intimidate me, so I would sin by going as he suggested, so they could give me a bad name in order to discredit me. Oh my God, remember Tobiah and Sanballat for what they have done, and also Noadiah the prophetess, and the other prophets who tried to intimidate me. So the wall was completed in 52 days, on the 25th of Elul. When all our enemies heard about this, all the surrounding nations were afraid and disheartened, for they realized that this task had been accomplished by our God. Also in those days, the nobles of Judah sent many letters to Tobiah, and Tobiah's letters came back to them. For many in Judah were bound by oath to him, since he was a son-in-law of Shechaniah, son of Erah, and his son Jehohanan had married the daughter of Meshullam, son of Berechiah. Moreover, these nobles kept reporting to me Tobiah's good deeds, and they relayed my words to him. And Tobiah sent letters to intimidate me. Revelation chapter 18. After this I saw another angel descending from heaven with great authority, and the earth was illuminated by his glory. And he cried out in a mighty voice, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a lair for demons, and a haunt for every unclean spirit, every unclean bird, and every detestable beast. All the nations have drunk the wine of the passion of her immorality. The kings of the earth were immoral with her, and the merchants of the earth have grown wealthy from the extravagance of her luxury." Then I heard another voice from heaven say, "Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins or contract any of her plagues. For her sins are piled up to heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Give back to her as she has done to others. Pay her back double for what she has done. Mix her a double portion in her own cup. As much as she has glorified herself and lived in luxury, give her the same measure of torment and grief. In her heart she says, 'I sit as queen, I am not a widow, and will never see grief.' Therefore her plagues will come in one day, death and grief and famine, and she will be consumed by fire, for mighty is the Lord God who judges her." Then the kings of the earth who committed sexual immorality and lived in luxury with her will weep and wail at the sight of the smoke rising from the fire that consumes her. In fear of her torment, they will stand at a distance and cry out, "Woe, woe to the great city, the mighty city of Babylon! For in a single hour your judgment has come." And the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, because there is no one left to buy their cargo of gold, silver, precious stones and pearls, of fine linen, purple, silk, and scarlet, of all kinds of citron wood, and every article of ivory, precious wood, bronze, iron, and marble, of cinnamon, spice, incense, myrrh, and frankincense, of wine, olive oil, fine flour, and wheat, of cattle, sheep, horses, and chariots, of slaves and souls of men. And they will say, "The fruit of your soul's desire has departed from you. All your luxury and splendor have vanished, never to be seen again." The merchants who sold these things and grew their wealth from her will stand at a distance, in fear of her torment. They will weep and mourn, saying, "Woe, woe to the great city, clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in a single hour such fabulous wealth has been destroyed. Every shipmaster, passenger, and sailor, and all who make their living from the sea will stand at a distance, and cry out at the sight of the smoke rising from the fire that consumes her. 'What city was ever like this great city?' they will exclaim. Then they will throw dust on their heads as they weep and mourn and cry out, 'Woe, woe to the great city, where all who had ships on the sea were enriched by her wealth. For in a single hour she has been destroyed. Rejoice over her, O heaven, O saints and apostles and prophets, because God has pronounced for you his judgment against her.' Then a mighty angel picked up a stone the size of a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, With such violence the great city of Babylon will be cast down, never to be seen again. And the sound of harpists and musicians, of flute players and trumpeters will never ring out in you again. Nor will any craftsman of any trade be found in you again, nor the sound of a millstone be heard in you again. The light of a lamp will never shine in you again, and the voices of a bride and bridegroom will never call out in you again. For your merchants were the great ones of the earth, because all the nations were deceived by your sorcery. And there was found in her the blood of prophets and saints, and of all who had been slain on the earth. Alright, that's it. Now I have to check to make sure I didn't chop myself out of the picture. Probably did, I don't know. Looks kind of angled that way pretty far, but let's see here. Well, it's already 9 o'clock. Of course, I still have the whole day ahead of me. I have like probably 12 hours I could still hike. But I haven't gone very far. Probably less than 3 miles. I keep seeing these really cool places to stop. So it's worthwhile for sure, because that's what I'm here for, but and I'm also kind of seeing if the sun will burn off some of that fog before I get up too high to where before I get up high and be disappointed by not being able to see the mountains or something like that. Hopefully by the time I get up there, some of it will be burned off at least. Anyway, that's it for this one. So I only have 4, I think I'm halfway done with the 8 readings. I only have 4 more to go, so I should be able to finish today, no problem. As long as I find nice spots. But thanks for joining me for this one. I'll catch you next time, which will be just a little down the trail probably.